I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I'm just feeling particularly lazy. I still want to be creative and I still want to create, but I want it to be as easy and trouble-free as possible. Some of the projects I do here on my channel, they do take a lot of time. I put in a lot of effort, a lot of preparation. I have to think about them a lot, overthink about them a lot. So that's why today I'm going to share 6 easy, super easy sketchbook ideas. Plus I'm going to share with you my favorite tips and products for the lazy artist like me. So let's start with something really easy. A good warm-up is to draw something familiar. In this case, I'm going to draw flowers. Nothing fancy, just simple flowers. Not these flowers. I did this page as a way to break in this new sketchbook, which is absolutely gorgeous. It is from Cat Art Illustrations, and the problem is when I get a really gorgeous sketchbook like this, I'm always terrified of ruining it. I just dove right in on the day that I got it, chucked some colour on there to get over that brain block of I don't want to ruin this sketchbook. To draw my flowers, I'm going to use my favourite lazy art supply, paint markers. This particular set are by Artex, who are sponsoring a portion of this video. Step 1 to this idea, which you don't really have to do, but I just like to make my life a little extra easy, is draw a bunch of circles of the same size all over the page and just let some of them overlap. The circles are just there as a bit of a guide for size and layout. The first 3 I did in a metallic marker. Then I switched to 3 split complementary colours. So complementary colours look like this. So I chose the bluey greeny colour. So the complementary colour for the blue green is the red orange, but I want to do split complementary. So that means I went for the red and the orange. These Artex markers are becoming my new favourites. And no, I'm not saying that because they're paying me. You see, Artex have reached out to me a few times wanting me to review these and other markers. But my reply is the same reply that I give to all companies wanting to pay me to use their products. And that is, you send me the product first, obligation free at your own expense. I'll give them a try, and if I like it, then we can talk. And about 90% of the time, a brand won't bother with me, and that's okay. It's no skin off my nose. But this particular rep must have felt pretty confident about this product because they agreed. I received the markers and spent some time having a play. I even took them away for a weekend trip with my family on the farm. And not only was I impressed, but my husband and sister-in-law picked them up for a play and they were impressed too. Artex have given me some recommended positive points to cover, which they are all true, but during this video, I'm just going to tell you why I like them. The first point is the colour selection. There are 90 colours to choose from, which is excellent for the lazy artist like me, who does not want to mix up a bunch of colours to paint with. These don't have the ball bearing, so you don't have to shake to mix the paint. You simply pick it up, pop the lid, and paint. Once I've got all the base colours down, I pick up a darker and lighter shade of all 3 colours and work at making the bud of the flowers and then some details on the petals. Another good point about these markers is the paint dries pretty quickly, so I don't have to wait too long before adding the next lot of details, which brings me to the next point. They are decently opaque, so I can just layer the marker over each other. Sometimes I may need to do a few coats depending on the colours I'm trying to cover, but because they're so easy to use, it's a pretty quick process. For 3 of the flowers, I go back to using the gold marker and do the bud dots and outline, and that's it. It's a good warm-up, and I've actually done this design a few times before. For one, I used the way this word looks on the screen, I want to make sure I pronounce it correctly. Analogous. I think that's right.
Analogous.
Analogous. How would you pronounce it if you'd never heard it before and you were just sounding out the word? Anyway, for one of them, I used analogous colours plus a brown instead of the gold, and the other I used pastel versions of the primary colours. For my next sketchbook idea, I'm going to use one of my absolute favourite lazy artist products, and that is the Colour Catalogue by Sarah Renee Clark. I find choosing colours really challenging, and if I'm feeling particularly burnt out, it's just too much effort. It is a collection of 500, is it 500? 500. It's a collection of 500 different colour palettes. And I can search them by just scrolling through them, or I can search by colour, a theme, or keyword. Once I've got the palette I'm digging, I then find that card number from my colour cubes and get to picking out the markers. Now, it's not 100% necessary to have the colour cubes. I just find it easier to use the cube cards to get the correct swatch by holding it like this. But as I say, it's not 100% necessary. I'm going to use my Artex markers again for this drawing because that colour range is just too good not to take advantage of. I've got some pretty good matches happening here. My lazy artist tip for this drawing is to draw smaller. If looking at a whole page is too overwhelming, then give yourself permission not to fill the whole page. I'm using a circle as a way to make the area smaller. I've already sketched out my design. It's just some mushrooms and a butterfly, and then it's just a matter of colouring in the areas. For the first drawing I did, I layered the markers over the top of each other. But for this one, I'm going to try colouring in blocks within the line work and just see how easy these markers are to get into all the little details. I'm starting with the background, and to make it super easy, I've split it into 3 colour sections running horizontally. On the third strip of colour, I changed my mind, but that's the beauty of these markers. I can just go over it a few times with the new colour and it's not a problem. When I get to the outline, I switch to a different brand for a fine tip paint marker. While the brush tip of the Artex does make a thin line, my hands get pretty shaky sometimes, and today is not a good day. So I need a sturdy, fine nib that will take the pressure I need to apply to keep it steady. And that's it. I absolutely love that colour palette, and I'm decently happy with the composition of the mushrooms and butterfly. I think this would actually make a nice image on a t-shirt. So let's transfer this image to my iPad, for which I spent some time messing around with the colour some more, and even chose a second colour palette for a whole new look. And then I popped the images onto a shirt in my online shop. So if you like this design too, you can purchase yourself a shirt or a hoodie via the link in my description box. Shameless plug. For the next easy sketchbook idea, I'm actually going to switch to using my iPad. While I do prefer putting pencil and marker to paper, to me the iPad is the ideal lazy art supply. I can literally sit on the couch, curled up under a cozy blanket and draw with all the colours I could ever wish for at my fingertips. And my next lazy artist tip is to trace. If you need a shape like a circle or square, or as in this case a hexagon, just trace it. Yes, it is good to learn to do these things yourself, and practicing getting good at drawing circles and straight lines, that's fine. But sometimes you've got to give yourself a break and trace the basics. So I'm tracing a group of hexagons to create honeycomb. And once I've got that honeycomb in a way I like, I paste in a picture of Bonnie the bee. But then I decided to redraw her from a different angle, and that's that. I really like this one, so I've put this one onto a design for some shirts and hoodies as well. And again, they'll be available in my shop, link below. My next sketchbook idea is to follow somebody else's tutorial. Hey, editing die, pausing the video here. Look at that stupid face. Let's draw on her while I quickly explain something. I've just listened to myself say, my big sketchbook idea is to follow someone else's tutorial in a video about sketchbook ideas for you to follow. And in hindsight, that sounds absolutely ridiculous. But the actual point of this tip, which I do kind of explain, is to follow a tutorial exactly. You see, when I follow someone else's tutorial, I personally feel the pressure that I should be making mine really different. Otherwise, I feel like I'm a cheat or something. But for the purpose of creating just for fun and not trying to sell your art or even learn something new, just follow the idea exactly. I hope that explains this idea. I mean, it makes sense in my weird brain. Anyway, back to the video. If you are completely drawing a blank, let someone else do the thinking for you. There are so many talented artists here on YouTube that literally give you a step-by-step tutorial for sketchbook ideas. Hell, feel free to completely copy anything you see here or on my channel as much as you like. The only thing I do highly encourage you to do though is to credit the artist that you're following. It is nice to maybe change up the colours of what the original artist is doing or put your own spin on it, but don't feel like you have to. Take the pressure off. Just tell yourself, I'm going to follow this tutorial exactly as I'm being told. And then just see where the process takes you. For this one, I'm going to follow along with one of my favourite creators, Creative Paula. I want to use watercolours, which is another of my favourite easy art tools. Yes, watercolour can be tricky and it definitely has a learning curve, but following a tutorial will make it so much easier. And I told myself I'm going to follow it exactly, just to give my brain the free feeling it needed to get started. And giving myself that freedom straight away worked its magic, and already I'm changing it up. In Paula's tutorial, she drew a leaf, but I'm going to go with a feather. It's a similar shape, so it should still work. Now, I suggest you check out Paula's original video. I'm gonna link it and she will run you through the process much better than I can. And I love watching Paula do watercolour. She has taught me to appreciate the beauty that watercolour makes on a page. I thought this paper would not be any good, that the water pooling would look crap, but look at it, it's beautiful. I started by following Paula's colour palette, but I changed that up too. I kind of wish I'd stuck to her colours. They're a bit easier on the eye and more calming, but well. The main part I'm really paying attention to from Paula's tutorial is play. Just playing with the paint in all the little sections. And it's very calming. It's why I like watercolours. Yes, like I said, watercolours can be tricky to learn, but when you give yourself permission to play and just let the water do its thing, it kind of does the work for you. No need to add details or obsess over every little paint stroke. The paint does what it wants and leaves you with effortless shapes and colours. This turned out okay, but like I said, check out Paula's video. I'm gonna link it down below because there are so many more good ones that she shares. For the next easy sketchbook idea, we are going to do an abstract landscape, and we're going to use another one of my lazy art tools, and that is a camera. I just used my phone camera. You take a picture of a landscape, I got one at the farm when we went, then transfer that image to a digital editor. I'm using Procreate, and I use that to trace the basic lines of the landscape. This just gives me a starting point. Then I transfer that into my sketchbook. You can either trace it or eyeball it, it's up to you. Once you have the lines, use your preferred medium to colour in the shapes on the page. Once again, I'm using a colour palette from my colour catalogue and cubes, but I do add in a blue, which I kind of regret. I'm not trying to make this picture look like the actual photo, that was just for inspiration. I just want the basic lines and shapes. It's supposed to be completely abstract, and I had a very clear vision in my head for what I wanted this to look like. But like so often happens with me, what I was creating in front of me was looking nothing like the image in my brain. I actually stalled on this. I put it down and didn't return to it for days, and I very nearly ripped it out and started again. Instead though, I gave myself permission to give up on my vision and just use this as an opportunity to play, experiment, and learn. And there is no happy ending to this picture. It looks crap. And what I learnt? Well, I mainly learnt what not to do and what doesn't work. But hey, that's still learning. But rather than end on that note, I wanted to do just one more picture just to feel a little bit better. I busted out a bigger size sketchbook because I wanted to go back to playing with watercolour and I needed more room to play. I wanted to try the abstract landscape again using the same colour palette and ideas, but watercolour as the base layer this time. I was also going to do this one off camera first, as sometimes the pressure of making a piece for a video can completely block me. But at the last minute I hit record, just in case it worked out. Once I had the base layer of colours down, I just couldn't get it into my brain how I wanted to execute my vision again. So I just googled images of basic abstract watercolour paintings, and I saw a lot of paintings with flowers or leaves over the top of the flowing watercolour. So I pivoted, and this is no longer a landscape, it's just colours and leaves. And it was fun, really easy, and something I definitely want to do again. I feel like I've ruined it with the whitish, creamish paint marker over the top. It doesn't quite look as good, but this is definitely something I want to try again because it was so fun. So yeah, I hope you got something valuable from this video, either a sketchbook idea or a tip or a trick or a product. I'm going to link as much as I can down below to make it easy for you. So that's it. Hope to see you next time.